Well, hello everybody. Welcome to my channel. I'm Chantal Mayberg for Gnostic TV, and I would like to welcome you back. Um, I want to call it the first round of interviews that we've done since the Tales of Survival from the Dark Side. And of course, one of the amazing ladies that I interviewed was Joanne Breeze of Australia. So welcome back, Joanne. It's really, really wonderful to have you back. How have you been doing?
Really good, thank you. I've been rather busy with all these joeys and the little pig that we rescued. Um, and we're very happy over here. We've got our summer coming, and that is the best time for me. I love summer
Oh
because you're
yeah,
out and about.
same here.
Mm.
I mean, it's definitely summer is coming. You can see my attire is getting flimsier by the day. It's a beautiful feeling to have our sun back here in the Southern Hemisphere, that's for sure. Joanne,
Mhm.
you've got quite an incredible story to tell as well, coming from a lineage of abusers, if you will, high level abusers, in the occult. You've been involved in some very crazy situations, experiences that no one, let alone a child, should ever have to go through. And I just want to thank you again for telling your story because even though I know it's very healing and it's very important for the world to get to know the underbelly of the world, as I call it. I know it's never easy for you survivors to keep rehashing this again. I can't imagine that there'll ever be a time that it feels good to go back there again. I think the results of that in your life now might feel good because you've become the person you have, and that is a good thing, right? I love that. Um, so these tragedies and these traumas, I always say, I see God in everything. I see an opportunity in everything. So I think when we look back at these things, it's so good to be able to see how that has shaped you into the being that you've become today. As we know, you've got this Joey, I want to say Australian, no, not Australia, kangaroo sanctuary in
Yeah,
Australia, not an Australian sanctuary. And my
yeah.
beloved where you've been healing joeys and other animals. I know you're a little piglet now as well, but you've been taken in the joeys, and I know as much as what they're healing for you, or you are a healer for them, they are as healing for you as well. So I'm wondering if you can take us back to wherever you feel comfortable and what you want to share with us today, because I know we are now on an uncensored channel, thankfully. Um, and we are able to talk about these things more freely. Not that it's always nice to hear, but I think it's important to hear. So I know you've got some stuff to share with us. So over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having this platform. I am so grateful. Where I'd like to sort of go back to today is back to my great grandmother. That's my on my mother's side, so it was her grandmother. They lived in the Swan Valley, and they had a Hessian house, and every single after the winter, it had to be repainted. And we used to go up there, and we used to help out painting with this whitewash because that sealed it, you see, and then the wind and the rain couldn't get in. But after the winter, of course, it needed to be redone. And they had dirt floors still. And they, like the big kitchen, my great grandmother had two huge ovens. And they were like the old slow combustion ovens because she really loved to cook. And that's where I learned a lot of my making and doing my cooking. So we loved it. And they had this big old, huge, I couldn't describe it, fig tree. And we used to, as kids, we're allowed to climb it. And that was so much fun. That was the bestest fun ever. And of course, and Nana, old Nana, would make fig jam and bottle it by you. This wasn't just a little organisation. She bottled that many bottles of it, and of course, the whole family got to have it, and they got to help do it. We all did, and we had some good times there. And there was the rivers and all through there. And my pop, my mum's dad, used to put us kids in this canoe and take us down the river, and he taught us botany. And one thing he really taught me that stuck with me until this day is don't worry about what the birds take, not from any of your trees or your fruits or your nuts, because God has made sure there's enough for all of us. And I still have that today. So I never worry about the birds who come in and they help themselves because there's enough for all of us. So that was a good thing I got to take away. I mean, this pop wasn't very nice. He was very abusive. And when he actually, as he got older, had a walking stick. And if you got caught by that, then you're in for it. So it was played dodge the walking stick, but he was very cunning. But yeah, there was good to take away. There was also, the not so good, the ritualistic. Now, going up the driveway to this house, my great grandmother grew what was called, and still are called today, death lilies. And they were white, and all the way up, there were these white death lilies when we visited. One thing that we did there was sometime during the day we'd go out with her and we'd pick a whole heap of these death lilies and go back into the laundry area with those big troughs. They weren't made of like aluminium today, they were made of concrete. And she'd give us paints, just normal watercolor paint, and we'd all have to paint a bunch or a vase to put in a vase and present. And I used to always do mine. Every single lily I painted a different colour. And I'm still like that today. My colour is everything to me. I've got it everywhere around me. I've even got around my house coloured lights because even at night I need that colour. I still need the colour. It's so important to me.
Right.
And the frequency that comes off, I didn't understand it then, but now I do. And that's where I do a lot of my healing through colour as well. It's so important to me.
Right.
But they were also used for ceremony at night. And because it would be so many, it was not just, say, my mother, my father, and my siblings, it would be the whole big family that would be there. And this would happen over some weeks. We would be there doing all different bits and pieces that we had to do. But one of the things they love to do, this was another good thing, and I loved it, and I still love it today, although I cannot play it, and I cannot go that way, down that rabbit hole, I guess you could say. They were yodelers. My mother's father and his brother were absolute excellent yodelers. I mean, I can feel the energy as I'm speaking. Oh,
Okay. When you talk about yodelers, sorry to interrupt you.
no, fine.
Obviously, the yodelers would be the Austrians or the Swiss in particular. I know Germans also do a bit of yodeling, but that's not really the German main thing. I do believe that's more the Austrians or the Swiss.
Yes, that's right.
Um,
Like the
so,
Bonaparte family.
sorry.
a bit like the Von Trapp family.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
and
because then I'm saying, I mean, I'm now looking at bloodlines, you know, I'm now sort of taking a little sneak peek at the bloodlines here, because the minute you talk about yodeling, it would tell me that your parents, your mother, in particular,
yeah,
then
that's
would
right.
be connected to some of those Germanic bloodlines.
Well, if
Um,
ever, yeah, because she might. Sorry, I'm not being rude, but I am. But I'm not meaning to be. Like when the other brothers came and the sisters of I suppose they're my mum's aunt and uncles, right? Because they were all coming. All of them came as well, and they would all get on it at night with. There'd be timbrels, there'd be other musical instruments, there'd be song and chants, and the yodeling was all a big part of it. And when that it was a sound, I mean, I can't explain what the sound was, but it was like it was amplified as well because there was a
right,
certain area we were in that would make it
right.
more, if you understand. I don't know if
Yes,
I'm explaining
echo.
it
Would
properly.
you have been like in a sort of an amphitheater type setting?
And
Or,
there was water a part of it. It was all a big.
right,
It was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It was a beautiful, and it really was. And there was like lilies and things, and they had to be. They were flowering at that time, and then at night, that's when it would do, and it would be lit up, but it would be so beautiful, magnificent, and it was like even the water itself would respond, and the
yeah.
patterns on the water, you know, around this area, like the amp, yeah, like an ampli. I can't say that word. I can't get my tongue around it.
Do you think, because when we look at it like that, we understand that, especially the hierarchy kids in the system, I don't think I've spoken to one of them who didn't have a good voice. They all have to have strong, powerful singing voices, because since our universe is created from sound, frequency, and vibration, right? Sound is one of the three key ingredients to opening our portals.
That's
So,
right.
and I don't know if you watched the show I did on my channel, on my YouTube channel yesterday with Jesse. We were talking about the weaponization of children. It's very interesting. And what she was saying there was, it's like they use the voice, but they learn to amplify the voice as well. So through the magic and whatever it is, the training that they do, of course, their voice has to be of a certain resonance, and they're gonna groom it for that resonance. But then the kids are taught to amplify their voices. And if we think about what Caleb Jade's been telling us, your teeth are crystals, apatite crystals. And
Yes,
as we know, crystals amplify everything, which is why words are so important, because whatever comes out of our mouth is really spellcasting, right? So
and and I
just
was never. We were never allowed to have braces or anything because they weren't. We weren't allowed to correct the sound. I needed because my mouth was a certain way, and I needed some teeth out at the back. No way. No, none of that is happening. It changes the sound.
wow. I'm sure
You
it would
know,
have changed the sound because of the whole
absolutely.
shape, the structure of the
Yeah,
braces, the metal. It would have completely distorted the sound that they were looking for, because it had to be pure.
yeah, and we had to bring the sound from here, not here. It comes from here. That's where you amplify it, and you're taught to bring it from there, from the actual chords of the vocal
Yeah,
cords.
the voice box. Yeah, wow, that's fascinating.
And no,
And
when I started watching that one with Jess. I think it was number two. I'm not sure, but I fell asleep. I've got to be honest. I actually was in Nodland not very long after poor Colleen, um, with the fact that it's always repeating, and I really thought that was And then I was asleep. I must admit, Chantel. Okay, I'm being honest. I
Well,
fell
good.
asleep. So I'll have to go and watch them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's very interesting, when we hear, and of course the voice sound, because so to me, I'd be interested to know what they were doing at these rituals. What was their intention? I mean, if there was water there and if it was an amphitheater type environment, obviously that contained sound is going to echo and, keep the sound in with more reverberations, right? Because that sound's going to
that's
reverberate.
right.
And with
And
the water as well, and water, that water portal, because it seems to me like maybe they were opening up a water portal.
it was so beautiful. I mean, here I'm saying, look, I'm just being authentic here. It was so beautiful. It
Sure, it
was
is
so
beautiful.
beautiful. But what came through started out beautiful. Then it got frightening. Frightening. Because it starts out beautiful. But then what comes through changes.
So
And
where does this thing come through? Does it come through the water?
through the lilies, the flowering
So
lilies.
it is a water portal. And
Yeah.
then the sound would obviously open, and then whatever entity is going to be attracted to that sound is going to come up. Initially, it's probably going to match the sound of the voices, right?
Yes.
It's going to resonate with the
And it
beauty of the
changes.
sound of the voices, and then
Yeah.
it changes.
Oh, yeah, I can feel it now. I have got literally all of my hairs on my body are standing up.
So, can you explain to us what was coming through? I mean, I know, just take a breath, maybe. Can you tell us what was coming through and what actually happened during let's say, this particular ritual you're talking about?
Usually, as I said, to mine eyes, because what we see is what we imagining when it starts to open, and it's different for everybody. And what I would see was this. It's a bit like a mermaid, but no fishtail because I couldn't do the fishtail. It was a lot more just wispy. Excuse me, sorry. I forgot to put that on silent, didn't I? Um, a beautiful woman. Stop and think about Heidi. You know that movie and the book, Heidi, where she was a cripple. Yeah, and and what happened with her. I love that story, and I've even got a painting of it, of her. I loved her. I don't know why, but she's always resonated with me. And she would look like Heidi coming through, but wispy after the face, the arms. But then once she came through, poof, and that's when the fear. That's the fear, and um, I wouldn't be there. Like I wouldn't be consciously there, if you understand. That's when it got frightening, and that's when I wouldn't consciously be there.
You
And the next day,
dissociated. Would
totally,
that hmm.
totally, I had to. I couldn't do because yeah, I can feel it. It possesses. It does. It
So
takes my
what would be the reason that they would conjure up the spirit? Would it be because it's going to now take possession of someone? Is it to take advice, have a conversation? Is it like an oracle type thing? I mean, what would be the reason that they would have conjured up the spirit?
communication a lot, and they would talk about things that didn't make sense. I don't know how to put that. They talked about things that didn't make sense to my ears. Didn't make sense. They weren't words, but they were words.
Right. Just not the words you understood.
God no. Um, but then the next part of it would be children start running, because the one that gets caught, you were laid over, and he was my mother's father's brother, Arnold. We always called him Uncle Fat. He was a big fat man. That's all we knew him, okay, as Uncle Fat. And if you got caught, because we'd been bathed in between, and they had done, like, they were out there talking, and we were taken off and bathed. Now, you've got to understand, we knew what was coming, and I had already disassociated off. So I'm watching from the ceiling. I look down, and I watch, and I weep because I know what's coming. So we're bathed, we're cleaned, we're put in fresh pajamas. Go and hide. Right. But if you got caught, you were brought back. Usually it was our pop that caught us, or one of the other uncles. There was two really scary other uncles. One had a birthmark that was so dark grey, grey, with brown bits all over one side of his face, coming all the way down. And if you got caught, you were taken and laid over his lap. He would get one of those old-fashioned switchblade knives, pull your pants down, your pajama pants down, and you were having your bum cut off, so there was blood made. Now that, you'd scream, okay? You'd scream. You can't stay in your body, Chantal. You can't stay in your body, okay? You
But
just
when
don't.
you say have your bum cut off, I mean, does he just prick your bum to draw blood, or does he
That, and
slice?
then what he does is, when your bum's sore, you can't sit down. I don't know if he nicked more than once. He would use the other side to trace the whole bum first, both cheeks up through the centre and round the other one. And then, because you'd be bleeding down your legs a bit because he nicked. And as I said, all you do is you scream and scream and scream. And it's just like you can't move. You can't breathe, like your chest is against the legs, and he's got his force on you to stop you. You're not allowed to move. You try and kick, you try and squirm and get away. But if you do that again, you will get cut more. And I used to squirm and scream and kick every time, because that's what I did. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't want it. It was scary. I mean, when we were there all that time,
The
when Nana,
reason for him, what was the reason for him doing it in that way? Was there some type of a ritual involved there? I mean, was he getting his rocks off sexually?
all of
Why?
them were. There was all these adults, all of them, with kids screaming, and they would line the ones up they were going to do it to. They would be laughing and hollering, and they'd be yodeling. And our screams more, scream more. That was the part that was so important.
The screams.
The screams.
So, okay, so this cutting the bum. So this is part of the same type of ritual. Is
Yeah,
this part of the same
going
ritual? What
on.
is this ritual called? What exactly is this ritual called? Does it have a name?
I only know it as cutting off the bum. I don't know. I can look into it more. I can.
No, 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 no. I mean, I really just want to talk about your memory of it. No problem. So basically, you're saying it starts off well. This is what you're saying. You have your bath, you put your pajamas on, and already you're starting to dissociate because you know what's coming. They go to this beautiful amphitheater type thing with this pool of waters and lotuses, right? And then
Yeah,
through singing and beautiful singing and yodeling, they then conjure up this spirit which initially feels good, loving, and then turns into something very
yeah.
nefarious.
Because as she came through, I always put it down. I always called her Heidi. Okay, as she comes through, her voice and her whole persona changes, and the face will disappear, and what's there, no, I don't. I don't like looking at the moment. I don't like looking. It's it's so scary. You pee your
Right.
pants. You do. It's so scary. If that's why I've still got a painting, as I said, of Heidi, because when I wake up scared or something like that, I see Heidi. Ain't that weird? Ain't that stupid? Me at my age, 57, and I've still got to have that painting of Heidi. It's and I'm
Are you
looking at.
okay? Are you all
I'm.
right?
Mm, isn't it funny? Because I only put her there a few days ago, so I made sure she was where I could see her.
Good for you. That's how you face your demons, literally, because she would have been that for you as a child. Wow, well done for that. You
And I
know,
did it, yeah, I did it absent-mindedly, but no, I'm so pleased I did. I'm really pleased that I've done that, and I love it because see, they were florists. They were florists. They were the they had the florists in Midland Guildford area. They were the florists. They used to use the buggy and horse and cart, whatever you call it, a horse and cart thing, and because that's what they grew on there on that land were the flowers. And see, that would be so that they would get the best blossoms, the biggest stems, they'd last longer. This was all part of all of what we were doing. That was all encompassed in it. And that's when they would get the best. And
wow.
yeah, that's where they set up and they used to do it. And I can remember my sister saying to me some years ago, because I grow so many flowers here. I grow bulbs, you name it. I'm always growing my own, always loved them. And I put them in a vase haphazardly. And my sister, this many years ago, she was here, or somehow she was here, and she said, Joanne,
Joanne,
you
give me a moment. Give me one moment. This dog has just arrived back in my.
let me know when you're. So my sister, seeing that I put these flowers that I'd grown haphazardly into a vase, she said, Joanne, Nana and great Nana would turn in their graves. You go and do that properly. That's your lineage. And she said it exactly like that. And she was so serious. She was so serious. And I remember I dropped everything and went and did it. That's how intimidated I still was that I had to obey what she said. And she still, to this day, has that authority because she took over as head when my mother passed.
Right. Wow.
Now, also, this is just a side step here to show you what my mother was like and her mother, my nana, was like. Not long after I got married to Tony, Tony had a biplane and he was learning to fly. And my mother and grandmother said they were going to put a hex on it. He slept in that plane. He was that worried about what would really happen. Their
Wow.
power was amazing. Now, the only person my sadistic, psychopathic thing of a father, Fred, was ever worried about was Joan. See, I'm named after my nana, my mum's mum, Joanne. Her name was Joan. And she taught me everything I knew and know. And my father was petrified, and I mean petrified of that woman.
Had she been his main abuser slash handler?
I'd
Uh,
say that no, that would have come from his side, but she would have taken it on when
right,
it came to Mum and their marriage, because
right,
if he stepped out of line, he ran for the hills, and I mean literally left.
right.
Absolutely, he was petrified of that woman, and so were we all. I mean, yeah, we really were. But to see my dad cower, and now she was a very tall but thin woman, very much like me, but I'm not as thin as her. I would have loved to have been, but hey. Anyway, but she commanded. She commanded everything. And if she
Wow.
said, well, will you be staying for dinner? That wasn't, are you staying for dinner? That was, you are staying for dinner.
Right. So
Or,
there was that. Mm.
and see, when we got together and did all this is where the killing of the pigs. Now, we also, apart from that, was the killing of the roosters at the same time. And goats. And don't forget the sheep. They had big slaughterhouse, everything there. It was huge.
So one big slaughter fest.
Yep.
Um, and was it deliberately done in the name of sacrifice, or was it really just done because everyone's getting together and everyone needs to eat?
That would work, wouldn't it? Be a great idea. But if you didn't want it, right? You didn't want this meat that had, this all this had gone on around. You might end up disappeared. You might end up in a vat of acid if you did not partake and do the rituals, the ceremonies, the gatherings, the chantings, the all of it
Who
while
was
you're there.
involved in all these rituals? Who was involved? I mean, couldn't have just been your family. So, was it extended family? Was it the community? Was there a particular sect of the Brotherhood, or the satanic cults that he was involved with that was doing this? How many people are we talking here?
Well, you'd be quite a few. I don't know, maybe 100 at a time. There was all like priests. What year did they have to move from there and they took it through to Northam, the Avon Valley? Remember, I'm a little tiny girl at this stage in my first, say, 5 years of life. Because then see where this was is where the airport in Perth is today. They were the last ones to leave that area. So it was huge. It was just huge. I didn't know everybody. We had certain places we were allowed to go, certain places we weren't allowed to go. Who we were allowed to associate with and who we weren't. It was a beautiful place, but what happened there wasn't beautiful in
Gosh,
any way.
Joanne, this is absolutely, it's so hard to listen to, when you think that there's so many, so much
Yeah. And the
sociopathy.
slaughtering was so traumatic. Even at that age, Chantel, I would scream, don't do it. Okay, I'll give you another example but this is when I'm a bit older. It's on the same line. And the pigs had to be fed. And they needed to get something to kill to give to the pigs, because everyone was coming. This was at a farm in the Merredin Wheatbelt district where we were living, not just me and my family. And all of them were coming there. So this day they put all us kids on the back of the ute. I was about 9. And they went out looking for an animal they can just mow down, because that's what they had to do. That was what they needed to do to give to the pigs. But it wasn't allowed to be dead. It just had to be totally maimed, but almost dead. And they found an emu, Chantal. They found an emu. And Chantal, they did. They mowed that down over and over and over and over again. And I was screaming. My siblings weren't. I was screaming. That I felt the pain. I knew what was happening. I understood exactly what was going on. Because I did that and I caused a scene and it upset what they were doing, because I'm not allowed to do that. You sit there, you shut up. My father then, after he'd thrown that emu on the back so that it hit us, and it was quivering and it. Anyway, on the way out, he went so close to a tree. He was so furious with me, and he took the top of my hand off. I was in hospital for 2 weeks after that, and they told, like when I was taken in, that it had been an accident, and I put my hand up when they'd gone past a tree when I was told not to. And they had to redo my hand. All because, but before they took me to the hospital, before all that, and it was a mangled hand, one of his favourite things was get me behind the back of my neck with his big hands, and he did his fingers in, and he threw it in there, and I wasn't allowed to look away. And I spent 2 weeks in hospital after that. And I couldn't tell anyone anything.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
They wouldn't believe. They wouldn't believe, and I knew it. And yeah,
Thank you for being so brave.
I don't think it's brave. It's just,
No, you sitting here telling the story, reliving these traumas. It takes a lot. It
they're
takes a
just
lot.
so evil. They're just so evil. They're so evil. And see, my mum's brother, we used to call him Boof. His name was Henry. He was so heavy in the Catholic Church. And when he took you, that's another day, I think. And what happened then? With that statue of Mary in his car. So evil.
The duplicitousness, the deception. You know, we understand the dark side is all about deception, Joanne. And, you know, they've played such a good game of deception with us. And all I can say is one day this will all make sense. And I know that today's talk has taken it out of you. So I'm not going to keep you much longer today, although I'm going to have you back plenty more times, you know that.
That's fine. I just got to process what I've sort of said, I think.
Yeah. So, and I've got my sister's blood all over now. And I want to just say to you, thank you so, so much for sharing with us.
Mm.
I feel your heart.
I'm sorry,
And
I'm
I'm
just,
sending you the biggest hug ever.
I didn't expect it to hear me so much. Thank you. You sort of forget until you start talking, you know, what you know. You do. You forget for a minute. But it's okay. It's okay. Just, you forget. Mm.
I'm going to stay on air with you after the show for a little bit. I'm all choked up.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
And I want to say thank you to all our viewers for watching.
Thank you for
These
listening.
shows are never easy to watch,
Oh,
hear, or to listen to. But I so appreciate you, because if you've gotten this far, you've walked quite a journey with us today. God bless you. Thank you so much. Joanne, I so appreciate you.
thank you, darling. Thank you.